Another good day's work, really the same agenda that we've had the last several days, just working on our football conditioning, communication, both verbal and nonverbal, skills relative to our positions, and just trying to become more situationally aware. In certain circumstances, the rules of the game change, how you play, lines to gain, and so forth. And so we'll always be chasing that in terms of working to capitalize on those moments. And capitalizing on those moments is first understanding them and your roles in them. And so just from that perspective, I thought it was another good day. Got guys continuing to work back to us that have been on some of those day-to-day lists, and that's a positive thing because obviously sand's running through the hourglass. I'll pause and open up for questions.
Mike, what's the latest on Will Howard? I noticed he's wearing the brace a little bit less.
Yeah, he's had some positive reviews, meeting with the hand specialists. We've increased his level of activity. We've altered the brace that you mentioned, and so he's moving in the right direction in terms of full participation very soon.
Mike, when you talk about coverage people, as you have throughout camp here, is Brandon Eccles one of those guys, and how can he fit into that group?
I think he's had a great camp in preseason. He's been highly competitive. He's played top down. He's kept the ball in front of him. He certainly is an asset to us. We'll get more detail in terms of how we're dividing the labor up as we get closer to game week.
At those points that you mentioned, the nonverbals, the communications, things of that sort that you mentioned in your opening statements, how specifically have they been applied to the secondary, and how has that come along here as you get ready to unveil that for the regular season?
Feels really good, and that's why it was important to maybe get them in the stadium there last week. It wasn't about how much they played, but just getting them in the stadium and letting them do that under the lights. And so, but I feel real good about the process, about the progress. We got some new people, not new to the National Football League, but new to us. And so getting on the same page is a major component.
Mike, what do you like and not like about the cohesion of your young offensive linemen, the guys that you guys had starting for pretty much most of the camp in the preseason?
You know, I just think it's progressing. I don't know that I've looked at it in terms of likes and dislikes. For me, it's about seeing daily progress, both individually and collectively. And largely, when you take a step back and look at the trajectory of the group through development, it's been moving in the right direction.
Mike, do you still judge the quality of a camp or a preseason at the end of the regular season?
Always. Certainly, I make some notes relative to the here and now, our ability to stay healthy and, you know, have functional days in the midst of battle and weather and so forth. But largely, the evaluation of the process comes based on how we perform over the journey.
Mike, what was the level of competition you feel like you got for spots, whether up or start?
As I mentioned when we checked into Latrobe, I thought we had a really good 90, and I think that's the key component of having tough decisions. We felt really good about the 90. The 90 confirmed that with the quality of their play and competition day in and day out. So certainly we got some challenging decisions to make.
Mike, when you don't have a group that works together, like offense, defense, you haven't had all your starters, you see them work every day. Do you feel confident in what you're getting, or is there still a little bit of I'm going to kind of see what we get on week one?
You can trick yourself into being confident. You can hide underneath your desk. I don't worry necessarily about how I feel, the emotional component of it, because it's just that. It's about putting these guys in position to work individually and collectively and being urgent about that work. And understanding that everybody's got the same number of days, and the answers to those questions, those bills are going to come due in a short period of time.
How's Alex Highsmith progressing, and where does he kind of stand in his return?
I like his level of competition and participation. I think he was almost a full participant today, and so it's moving in the right direction.
Mike, you mentioned urgency. Have you seen it to the level that you like, and how does it manifest itself during practice?
I could always use and want more, certainly.
You anticipating Nick to be available for week one?
Who's that?
Nick Herbert.
Don't know yet. We'll know as we get closer to it.
What spots are still being considered or discussed the most as you get down to the 11th hour here?
All right, Steelers Nation, buckle up because today we're diving deep into Mike Tomlin's latest press conference and the real state of our Pittsburgh Steelers as we close in on week one. There's a lot to unpack, from Tomlin's detailed focus on situational awareness and communication to the roster battles heating up and even injury updates that could impact how we line up against the Jets in the opener. Mike Tomlin's core message: communication, conditioning, and situational awareness. Coach Tomlin started with his usual grounded tone, but his message was clear. The Steelers are drilling communication, both verbal and nonverbal, and situational awareness. This is classic Tomlin football. It's not just about running plays, it's about knowing the when and the why. Think about those game-defining moments in the red zone, or those small shifts in the rules depending on down and distance. Tomlin hammered home that understanding those situations and each player's role within them is what separates contenders from pretenders. He said it best, capitalizing on those moments starts with understanding them. He emphasized that the team is working hard not just on physical conditioning, but on football IQ. It's about being prepared when the margins are razor thin. And in the AFC North, games are often decided by those thin margins. Key player updates. One of the biggest updates was about rookie quarterback Will Howard. After dealing with a fractured hand and wearing a restrictive brace, he's finally stepping closer to full participation. Tomlin confirmed Howard has received positive reviews from specialists, his brace has been modified, and his workload has increased. That's a big sign that Howard could push his way into the QB room rotation by the time the season kicks off. At cornerback, Brandon Eakles continues to turn heads in camp. Tomlin praised his ability to keep plays in front of him, compete at a high level, and show discipline in coverage. With the Steelers needing reliable depth behind their top CBs, Eakles is pushing himself into the conversation as a key role player alongside Corey Trice and others who've had strong showings. On the defensive front, Tomlin acknowledged the value of getting younger guys live reps under the stadium lights, even if it wasn't a ton of snaps. It's about getting them comfortable with game speed and building confidence for when the real bullets start flying in Week 1. The offensive line and cohesion. Tomlin didn't sugarcoat it. The offensive line is a work in progress. He said he's not focusing on likes and dislikes, but rather on whether the unit shows daily improvement. And truth be told, that's exactly what this team needs. This line is young, it's developing, and while flashes of dominance have been seen in camp, the real test will be whether they can protect Aaron Rodgers and open up the run game consistently once the season begins. This group doesn't need to be perfect on day one, but it does need to show growth week by week. If they do, this offense could take a big leap. If they don't, it could derail the Aaron Rodgers experiment before it gets off the ground. Injuries and availability. Here's where things get dicey. Tomlin gave updates on several players. Will Howard, trending in the right direction, nearly a full go in practice. Nick Herbig, status still uncertain for Week 1. Tomlin wasn't ready to confirm his availability, and that's concerning considering how valuable Herbig is in the rotation. Alex Highsmith, almost a full participant and trending up. That's crucial as his presence opposite TJ Watt elevates the entire defense. Other bumps and bruises? Normal for this stage of camp, but Tomlin's focus remains on urgency and making sure every player uses the final stretch before the season wisely. Roster battles heating up. Tomlin mentioned that he feels confident about the depth of the 90-man roster he had to evaluate in camp, which makes final cuts even more challenging. At quarterback, Skylar Thompson has created value for himself and might push Mason Rudolph for that number 2 spot. In the secondary, competition between players like Eakles, Trice, Bishop, and Pierre has been fierce. And at wide receiver, guys like Scotty Miller and Lance McCutcheon have raised eyebrows with strong preseason performances. Even the punting competition has Tomlin confident, saying he believes the Steelers will have a quality player no matter who wins the job. That's the kind of depth you want heading into a grueling season. Tomlin's warning, don't get comfortable. One of the most striking things he said was about tricking yourself into being confident. He made it clear that feelings don't win games, preparation does. That's Tomlin in a nutshell. Urgency, discipline, and refusing to let this team get caught sleeping before the opener. He admitted that nobody is a finished product at this stage, but that the next 2 weeks are about taking advantage of every single day to sharpen this team. It's not about preseason wins. It's about building a foundation that will hold up when the real tests come. What this means for Steelers Nation. Here's the takeaway, folks. The Aaron Rodgers effect. All eyes are on Aaron Rodgers, and Tomlin is balancing how to integrate a 41-year-old future Hall of Famer without throwing off the team's structure. the Steelers are making exceptions for him. No preseason snaps, late arrival to camp, and that could cause friction, but it also reflects how badly this team needed him. Young depth is real. From Skylar Thompson flashing at QB to Brandon Eakles emerging in the secondary, and rookies like Will Howard working back from injury, this team is deeper than it was a year ago. That matters in a 17-game grind. Injuries could shape Week 1. Whether Herbig plays or not, how healthy Highsmith is, and whether the offensive line can stay intact, these factors will directly impact how the Steelers open against the Jets. Your turn, Steelers Nation. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think the Steelers' focus on communication and situational awareness will pay off in tight AFC North games? Are you confident in the offensive line protecting Aaron Rodgers this season? And most importantly, who do you think has earned a roster spot after this camp battle? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button if you're fired up for Steelers football, and don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire for daily updates, analysis, and passionate fan reaction. Steelers Nation, we are close to kickoff. Stay loud, stay proud, and let's ride into this season ready to prove the doubters wrong.